Back at the main Nazi base, not all is well. There are now a total of 2 Nazi soldiers still alive, in addition to the 2 Nazi leaders and the Nazi military commander. Now this is the point where we get to hear the Nazis' villain speech.
Well, Mr. Race, we wish to take over the world.
Unfortunately, this is not the case. The Nazis they're dealing with now have some intelligence and have a more realistic goal in mind. They instead want...
We hold the world ransom for $100 billion.
They really do want $100 billion. They want to use this money to devalue the US dollar, and thus make the US economy fail. And through this, they want to change America's geopolitical standing.
I highly doubt that this Nazi would have taken the time to outline his plan to 2 people he had every intention of killing. Well, the villain speech ends, and Race and Renee are taken to a conveniently isolated spot to be executed. Not all goes as planned, though, as one of the Nazis shoots the other in the head. It turns out that this Nazi is an undercover cop.
Whereupon he frees Race and Renee and strips the dead Nazi's corpse for equipment, giving Renee the G11 and Race the bulletproof vest. And so Race and the new multinational team go on the assault, and in the course of their assault, Race attacks the Nazi military commander. This is a man named Heinrich Anastasi, and he is a highly trained, highly competent soldier, and Race is a college professor that works out of the gym. So you can see where this is headed. Adding to this, Renee throws a grenade under a helicopter in an attempt to kill its pilot, who was working on it at the time. This explosion causes the helicopter to fall within 3 feet of Race's battle with Anastasi. Since the helicopter is still functioning, this would make this battle a
boss fight.
Smile, motherfucker!
See when I said this was a source of fiction? I think that line actually rivaled "I'll kill you last."
With that out of the way, Race is able to deal with the even greater issue of the supernova. He is able to disarm it, only to trigger another bomb that will destroy the room that he's in. Well, he escapes this by climbing into the supernova itself. Well, their Nazi adventure over, Race is able to inform everyone that the idol was a fake. You see, when the idol is exposed to water, it makes a humming sound. The idol was exposed to water in the Nazis' base, and it did not make a sound. Since Race now has the full manuscript, he can look through it to try and find the location of the real idol. The only problem is, Santiago doctored the ending so that no one would actually find it, which was actually intelligent. Well, Race and the team return to Villefort to try to find the idol again. Race is able to determine the idol's location through the use of high school trigonometry. And this, of course, shows up all of the nuclear physicists present, and he really does this just out of the blue. So after that rousing display of intelligence, our stalwart adventurers set off yet again in pursuit of the idol. They find the idol in a Native American village. Now, the natives there are descendants of Rinko and a number of other individuals. And, of course, they don't take kindly to people trying to steal their extremely prized possession. But Race has a birthmark on his face in the shape of an inverted triangle. Now, this is the same mark that Rinko had, thus making him the chosen one. However, this is not necessarily a good thing, because he ends up having to fight a Camion. Race eventually kills the Camion with a grappling hook. thus earning the respect of the natives and passing his test. Okay, so this is where it gets really complicated. After they find the idol a second time, it's stolen by one of the military personnel. Now this person works for the U.S. Army. After it's stolen, the Navy attacks. Now, this is what's going on. In 2010, one of the branches, at least in that universe anyway, of the military is going to be considered redundant, meaning it's going to be shut down. Now, none of the branches really want that to happen, so they each try to design something that will make them seem indispensable. Now, the supernova was originally a Navy project, so of course the Army wants to try to steal it from them. Now, in reality, the various branches of the U.S. military have frosty relations at best and hostile at worst. If one was going to be shut down, it's not that much of a stretch to see them fighting for dominance.
Well, the battle between the Army and the Navy doesn't turn out too well. The Army wins, and the Army's commander, one Nash Copeland, decides to terminate their surviving naval personnel. One of these Navy people just so happens to be Race's brother, who has secretly been working for the Army the entire time. In addition to that, Race also finds out that he was marked for termination right after he deciphered the Santiago manuscript. Now, as Nash Copeland goes to consummate this, Van Leeuwen decides to step in front of Race and say, "If you want him, you have to go through me." Well, Nash Copeland is not threatened by this and simply shoots him in the head. Why Van Leeuwen didn't just try to take the gun away or shoot him is anyone's guess.
Luckily, the natives attack and drive them away, thus giving Race and his extremely diminished team time to escape. However, the Army people are accosted by yet another faction, who of course take the idol.
Okay, this next faction is a conglomeration of two domestic terrorist groups and a Japanese doomsday cult. That's right. It's an amalgamation of two U.S. domestic terrorist groups and a Japanese doomsday cult. See the problem with having a world cracker?
So now Race and company have to stop another faction from destroying the Earth. This is where it gets even more outlandish. This time the supernova is being held in an airplane, meaning that Race has to fly and stop them. He can't simply shoot it down because it wouldn't actually damage the bomb. He has to actually be physically on the airplane to disarm it. Of course, the only way to gain access to this plane is by dropping the cargo ramp via the external control panel.
I hate quick-time events.
On the plane, the supernova is stored inside of an M1 Abrams tank, and during the course of Race's battle with the terrorists, he turns on the tank via the magic button and fires the shell. My question is this: why is there a shell in a tank while it's on a plane? In all reality, I know no one would actually expect Race to attack this way, but still, why keep it in the tank? It would serve no purpose whatsoever. It should come to no surprise that firing a tank round at an airplane causes the bloody thing to crash. What's worse is that when the tank fires, it is blown back outside of the plane. Still, Race is able to successfully disarm the supernova, even though he is hurtling to the ground at a ridiculously high speed. Before he hits the ground, however, he decides that it would be safer to be on the outside of the tank when it impacts the ground. And he is somewhat surprised by the result.
Lucky for Race, the bulletproof vest he was wearing just so happened to be a jetpack.
Wait. What? A jetpack? Who would have thought I would have found this out earlier?
As you would expect, all of the loose ends are tied up, and I'm also highly certain that Race gets to enjoy an evening with the ever-lovely Renee. Overall, this book is 100% unadulterated fun. It has a very fluid pacing that doesn't really bog down anywhere. The characters are likable and somewhat realistic, and the villains are just extremely numerous. First you have the Nazis, then you have some weird Army-Navy war, and then you have some sort of terrorists. It doesn't get much better than that. In addition, you have the story within a story that's just about as interesting as the novel itself, with, once again, very good characters and very deplorable villains. Overall, this book is good for just about anyone. It doesn't have a firmly entrenched universe, as it's just a standalone, and really, it's just fun. For next time, I am going to be reviewing the Thrawn trilogy. But for now, this is GeneralLotz wishing you good access in time, good 10th planet, or whatever makes you happy.